Alright, I'm having a problem with my Poulan Pro leaf blower. I've had this for over 7 years now. And I started pulling it apart and noticed a problem right away. The symptom was that it was just, it would start in start mode, but it wouldn't stay running in run mode. And it just kept revving up and then kind of bogging down, and revving up and then bogging down, and then die out as soon as I put it in run mode. So I started taking it apart to clean the filter like you see in some of my other videos. And what as soon as I started pulling the carb off, my 2 fuel lines just popped off. So you can see that right there is where they go into the tank, and they just popped right off of there. I think they're broken. I'm going to start investigating by draining the fuel back into this fuel can and take a look inside the tank and see what's in there, but I believe the lines have broken. Alright, so I found the problem. I used some needle nose pliers to reach down in there, and sure enough the fuel line was broken inside the tank. So I pulled it out, and you can see here that's broken off. This at the bottom, that's just a weight that keeps it so that it's sucking down into the very bottom of the tank even when you're tilting the blower. So I'm going to see if I have a replacement fuel line, because I'm going to have to replace that. But you can see only one of them goes down into the bottom of the tank. So this side here, the bottom side, goes all the way to the bottom of the tank. This side is just a return. So that just returns any fuel that's not used back into the tank. Alright, so I broke out the tune-up kit that I had bought a couple months ago. I was planning on doing a complete rebuild video because these Poulan Pro videos seem to be pretty popular, and I really hope it's helping a lot of people. I see by the comments it is. So I went ahead and got the rebuild kit out that I hadn't used yet. I got this from Amazon for $10. You can see there the part number. It's a Wells King 545146501. Okay. Again, Amazon $9.99. It comes with 2 replacement fuel lines with plenty of extra. It comes with 2 extra primer bulbs. It comes with 2 additional air filters, 2 of your little check valves. It came with a new spark plug, and it came with 2 new inline fuel filters. So I lied earlier. I said this was a weight to keep it in the bottom. It is. It's a weight, but it's also a filter. So I'm going to have to change that. Again, so see the filter, it's got a little bit of weight on the end to keep it down in the bottom. So we've got all new stuff here. We'll go ahead and I'll show you the entire process of the tune-up. To keep this video short for you, so some of the stuff I'm doing offline or off camera. So what I did here is clean everything up. If you don't have compressed air, which I don't have a compressor, just use a stick person brush, any brush you got living around. That gets all that kind of grimy stuff off. That's, you know, just the old mixed dust and dirt and oil from the mixed gas. So just brush everything off real quick before you start opening everything up. I rinsed out the fuel tank. I installed the new fuel line with the filter down in there, so here's the old one. And how I did that was I just stick the tube inside the tank, and let's see if I can show you down in there. Yep. So I just poked the new tube up from the inside of the tank, and you can see there's 2 holes there. One's larger, one's smaller. So the larger one is the supply side, the other one is the return. And I sneaked that through there, so that's ready to hook up to the carburetor. I'll make a new fuel line for the return when I'm ready to. And here's the carburetor, right? So that side right there, it's lower, that is the pickup. So that's the one that you're going to hook up to the filter line. And then that's the return. Okay. So I already loosened these screws up here, and we'll take this out, and we'll replace this this primer bulb. So when you get those 4 screws out, the whole thing just lifts it off, and then you have another section here that lifts off as well. So what you're going to want to do in here is make sure that screen right there is clean, right there. It has some gunk that builds up in it. Use a can of compressed air or somehow blow it out to get any debris off of there. And then, 1 second. Alright, so I cleaned that screen, popped the old primer bulb off, put the new one on, put the screws back in. Everything's good, everything's clean in there. There was nothing actually wrong with the old primer bulb, so I'll probably hold on to that for spare parts. It's just discolored. You can see this one's much easier to see through. But this one, it wasn't cracked or anything after 7 years, which was really surprising. But I'm going to hold on to that. Now I'm going to put on the other fuel line and put the carburetor back on, and then we'll show you how to adjust it. Quick thing, when you put the return side supply line on, it's got this little barb fitting, so make sure you don't throw that away. And that's just going to pop into the smaller hole here. So let me see if I can do it to where you can see it. There, that just pops in there. And then you're going to hook up both sides back to the carburetor. Alright, so here's the lesson I just learned. I was tempted to delete this so I didn't look silly, but I wanted you guys to learn from my mistake. So the supply side goes through the small hole, and the way that I was able to do that was I just took the piece of tubing and cut it at a severe angle, like a little bit more than a 45 that I could, and then I inserted it with my needle nose pliers inside the tank and fed it up through there, and then cut it off straight to reattach to the carburetor. And then the supply side, that little barb fitting that I showed you, actually goes on the inside. You see it there? So the way that I did that was I attached the tube to it and fed it inside with my needle nose pliers and poked it up from the inside. Okay? And then to verify the proper flow, go ahead and prime it, and you want to see the bubbles come up on this side. This is the supply side, and then you want to see them go down on that side. That's the return side. And that's how you know you have it correct. Now you can reassemble. To reassemble, you have the shroud assembly there, the 2 bolts, and they go in, and I'll be right back. Alright, so here's the lesson I just learned. I was tempted to delete this so I didn't look silly, but I wanted you guys to learn from my mistake. So the supply side goes through the small hole, and the way that I was able to do that was I just took the piece of tubing and cut it at a severe angle, like a little bit more than a 45 that I could, and then I inserted it with my needle nose pliers inside the tank and fed it up through there, and then cut it off straight to reattach to the carburetor. And then the supply side, that little barb fitting that I showed you, actually goes on the inside. You see it there? So the way that I did that was I attached the tube to it and fed it inside with my needle nose pliers and poked it up from the inside. Okay? And then to verify the proper flow, go ahead and prime it, and you want to see the bubbles come up on this side. This is the supply side, and then you want to see them go down on that side. That's the return side. And that's how you know you have it correct. Now you can reassemble. To reassemble, you have the shroud assembly there, the 2 bolts, and they go in, and I'll be right back. Alright, so here's the 2 screws there, and this is it's a 5/32 Allen wrench. 5/32 Allen wrench that goes to those 2 screws there. But when you put it back together, 2 things. Make sure that you connect your throttle level there, and it moves freely, and also there's a gasket back in there, right there. It goes way far down. It's more than a gasket. I believe it's also a heat shield, but make sure that's in there. And I cleaned mine up before I put it back in. So everything's working good here. We're going to change the spark plug next. You can see my old spark plug's in pretty rough shape, but it's an RCJ 8Y. See, I just read that upside down for you. Put the new spark plug in, and the socket is a 3/4 inch size socket. So that standard 5/8 inch spark plug socket that comes in most ratchet kits will not work here. You're going to need a 3/4 inch deep socket for this one. Alright guys, you can see it's running like a champ right now. So I have this adjustment tool. I even labeled it Bullet Pro so I can tell it away from my weed eater one. But it's a special socket type. I think there's an outline of it there, yeah. It says it's a V11. So that's what it looks like inside the little head. And the adjustment screws are right on top of the carburetor right there, okay? So what I did just now, and you can do the very same thing, you can screw them all the way, you you can screw them all the way clockwise until they're all the way closed. And then what I do is keep track of the position of your handle and back it off 1 turn each. So 1 to 1.5 turns. I started at 1 turn back from all the way closed, and then I started it up, and then basically all you do is back out both screws until you'll hear it get louder. The RPMs will increase until it gets pretty much as fast as it's going to, and then break it. Take the screw back down until it starts slowing down again or bogging down again, and then right back to that sweet spot. So you don't want it too wide open. You want to back it out until the RPMs get the highest, and then back down just a touch and leave it right there. Do that on both screws, you're good to go. Alright, so I just put the new mesh screen in. The other one was completely filthy. There it is. So put the new little mesh filter back in there. I'm going to put this cover on here. That snaps in. It doesn't fit as well as it used to. It kind of is loose on this side, but hey, I'm not complaining. And then one more thing, I didn't want to confuse anyone. So this little check valve that I showed you, that is not for the Poulan Pro leaf blower. So don't use that, or there's no place to put it. That's actually for a weed whacker. So I put that back in my kit. But again, look at the difference between these fuel lines. I don't know if these were clear when they were brand new or what, but these are the new ones. I'm just assuming that the ethanol just ate them all up. You can see down where they attach to the tank. That's just where they broke off. So probably vibration and the ethanol just eating them up over time. But again, hey, it's been almost 8 years now since I've had this guy. So take good care of your stuff. It'll take good care of you. Hope this helped y'all. Take care.